So let's continue from where we left off in the previous video. And yeah, so far we've been able to add the first 4 elements in our form. As we can see, as a reminder, this is what we are building. So we've worked on this part of the form. So let's continue building it. At this point, you should be able to submit the form. However, you might notice not much happens. To make the form more interactive, add the required attribute input to the input element in the field set. Okay, so right now you can just click on this, and as you can see, normally this form will be submitted. It works. And that means that the user can decide not to enter any of these inputs and then submit it, and it will just work. But we don't want it that way. We want the form to submit only when the user has submitted these input that we are requesting for. All right, so the way we do that is to just use the required attribute. So we just want to add required like this. Okay, and once again, I'm not going to type it out. I'll just click here, hold Alt if you're on Windows, hold Option, and if you're on Windows, hold Alt. Okay, like so, and just write required. Okay, so now let's see. Yeah, as you can see, if you try to submit, it says fill in this field. Okay, so we just say first name. Okay, let's try this. Okay, so we just say last name, and then it wants us to give us some sort of email. Okay, all right, now when we submit it, it works because we've actually filled in the required elements. All right, so that's how the required attribute works. Okay, so next up, let's see. Certain type attribute values comes with a built-in form validation. Okay, for example, type email requires that the value be a valid email. Also, we want to add a custom validation to the password input by adding a main length attribute with a value of 8. Doing so prevents less than 8 characters being submitted. Okay, so there's this attribute called main length that we can add to the password input, and we can give it a value of 8. So now when we give it a value of 8 and we try to submit a password, let's say 123, which is less than 8. Okay, let me fill this in. And let me just try. Yeah, now as you can see, it says, please lengthen this text to 8 characters or more. We are currently using 3 characters. Okay, so our main length attribute is working. All right, next up, with type password, you can use the pattern attribute to define a regular expression that the word must match to be considered valid. Add a pattern attribute to the password input elements to require the input match A to Z or 0 to 5 and 8. So this is a regular expression, and what this means is that we want our password to contain letters right from A to Z or numbers from 0 to 5, and it also should be at least 8 characters. Okay, so let's say pattern, and then we give it a value of this regular expression here. So I'll just copy this right here and I'll put it here. So now, assuming we use a password, you can see it type, but I'll type 789. Okay. Alright, so as you can see, it doesn't work. Please match the format requested, because what I typed was 789, and in the format we want our password to be A to Z and 0 to 5. So that's what it should contain, but 789 is not included in the pattern, so it won't work. Alright. Okay, so this didn't work. Let's see. You should remove the main length. Okay, yeah. Now I need to remove it because we are handling it in this regular expression. So let's remove it. Yeah, once again, you are encouraged to donate to FreeCodeCamp, and yeah, for the purpose of this tutorials, I'll just click Ask Me Later so that we can continue. All right, let's go to the next part of the registration form, which is this one right here. Okay, and this session will ask the type of account the user is opening, and will confirm if the user has read the terms and conditions. So we'll start by adding 3 label elements, and we'll do that like so. Label, and I'll just copy and paste. Okay. Alright, so users will be allowed to choose either a personal account or a business account. To do this, each of the first 2 label elements add 1 input element with the type radio. So we just add an input element. Once again, input is self-closing, and we'll say type radio. Okay, I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. All right, so as you can see, we have a radio here, our radio element here. For the terms and conditions, add an input with the type of checkbox to the 3rd element. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this here, and for the type, I'm going to change it from radio to checkbox. Make this input element required because users should not sign up without reading the terms and conditions. Okay, so we just add a required attribute here, like so. All right, so if the user doesn't check this box here, they will not be able to submit their form. Okay. Now we want to add corresponding labels element immediately after the input element. So we want to add a space and add the following text. So the first one is going to be personal account. The first is going to be business account. The third is going to be I accept the terms and conditions. Okay, yeah, so that's it. Next up, you only want 1 radio input to be selectable at a time. However, the form does not know the radio inputs are related. To relate the radio inputs, give them the same name attribute to the value of account type. Now, it is not possible to select both radio inputs at the same time. Okay, so what does this mean? At the moment, we can select personal account, and we can also select business account. All right, but that's not how we want our form to behave. We want it such that the user can only create a personal account, or they can only create a business account, but not both. Okay, but at the moment, this is not the case. So the way we're going to handle that is to give the radio input that is these two inputs here, is to give each one of them a name attribute. So we're going to do name, okay, and we're going to give it account type, a value of account type, right? And the way, yeah, also want to do the same thing for this radio input here. Now let's see what happens when we click one. If we click one, which is the personal account, and we come to click this one here, automatically it deselects the personal account, so which means we can only select one at a time. All right, let's move on. All right, next up, we want to follow accessibility best practices by linking the input element and the label element in the second field set. Okay, so these are the label elements and these are the input elements. Okay, and we want to link them. So the way we do that is to use personal account, business account, and terms and conditions as values for the respective ID attributes. Okay, so let's give this an ID of personal account. Let's give this an ID of business account and ID of what? Terms and conditions. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, apart from these IDs, we are linking the input element to the corresponding label element. So we should have a for attribute here, and the value of this for attribute should be the same as the value of the ID attribute of the input. Okay, the for attribute for the label should be the same as the ID attribute of the input. Okay, let's do the same for terms and conditions. All right. Now for the final step in this video, for this field set to finish this field set off, link the terms and conditions in the third label to the following location. Okay, so I'll just copy it. So what we're doing is, as you can see, I accept the terms and condition. So this right here is a link. Okay, so that's what we want to do. At the moment, what we have here is not yet a link. So the way we want to do that is to turn this text here into a link. And in HTML, we can turn a text into a link by using the anchor attributes. So we write our opening anchor attribute like so. Then we bring our closing anchor attribute. Next up, we want to add an href attribute. And the value of the href attribute is going to be this link right here. So I'll just copy it and paste it. Oh wait, sorry, I turned the whole text into a link, as you can see. That's not what we want, so I'll just copy this pass right here. I'll cut it out, then paste it before the anchor tag like so. All right, so now I accept the terms and conditions. Okay, so terms and conditions, the text has been turned into a link. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you're enjoying these lessons so far, I encourage you to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.